Hi, my name is Adiemi, and this is Skinner Land. You are welcome to day two of the Creative Writing Challenge, where we are training ourselves and learning to bring in emotions into our creative writing in a better and more professional way. So, yesterday we started talking about how to actually bring in emotions into your story, the process to follow to bring emotions into your story. We've talked about the show don't tell rule, which we are going to keep making reference to up till the end of this challenge. So, today I want to actually give you another hint into how to write a joyful or happy kind of scene in a better way. Yesterday, we started talking about joyful emotions, how to communicate joyful emotions in your creative writing. So today, I'm going to be sharing a bit about using the strategy of comedy, comic plays, or word plays. Now, the major thing to note when you want to bring in some comedy, some jokes, and whatever, is to first consider your audience. One of the rules of creative writing is relatability. No matter how much your storyline is unique, no matter how much you are trying to be very creative and be unique with whatever you're writing, your audience should be able to relate to what you are saying. Imagine cracking a joke about something that your audience knows absolutely nothing about. It would be difficult to actually pull that through. You understand? Another thing you might want to try and do is word play, playing on words, puns, puns specifically. You might want to play around that in your story, but you have to try to not let it be too much, right? Now, this is not just about trying to say that a character was happy or they were in a happy environment. This is about trying to actually bring your audience or your reader or whoever is reading or following your story into a happy moment. There are some books you read, there are some movies you watch, there are some stories you get to interact with that actually makes you feel good, that actually makes you feel, really really good and even happy. There are times that you are watching a story rather, that is supposed to be supposedly sad, but the sad story is communicated in a funny way. So it depends on the emotions you are trying to evoke. Now, situations like bringing a happy moment into a sad situation comes under contrasting emotions, and we're going to talk about that much later in this challenge. But today, let us focus on bringing comedy or bringing puns into your creative writing. Now, imagine that you wanted to write a very, very simple scene. Maybe you wanted to say something, or you're writing something about a conversation that was going on between two people or two neighbors, right? Or two people living in the same compound. You wanted to bring up a conversation between them, and let's say the conversation is a gist about somebody. So literally, two people are gossiping about somebody who maybe is in the environment, or it's possible that the two people are gossiping about somebody that one of them doesn't even know about, right? So imagine, you'll be able to relate to this. You are discussing something with someone, or you are telling someone about somebody they never met, and you are really giving lots of gist about some things that happened, whether good or bad, and you're trying to make a whole story out of this situation I just mentioned. Now, one way you can bring in a happy moment or a happy mood or a comic situation is by bringing in colloquials or some lingos that are really peculiar to that area, right? Once again, considering your audience, there are certain banters. Yes, banters is what I'm looking for. There are certain banters that can only be understood by Nigerians. There are some that can only be understood by South Africans. There are some banters that would only be understood by Black people. It's just there. That's just it. And such things will be taken very seriously by someone who isn't really from this part of the world. You understand? There are some people who, if you say some things to come off as insults, and there are some people who take those insults as banters. Okay, let me take another example. The kind of banters or the kind of jokes that will be exchanged between two guys who don't really know themselves in a story and are trying to just have a light conversation, possibly about football or something related, would be different from the kind of conversations that will go on between two ladies talking about maybe this same football. So we know that there are some ladies who are so interested in football, but the truth is that it's not a really common phenomenon. So you could decide that in the story you're writing, you want to actually communicate or paint the picture of ladies who are really interested in football. Now that is something that is not so common, but then you could make some fun out of it, about ladies throwing banters, maybe comparing a particular player with somebody's ex-boyfriend, something around that to just make the whole thing fun and more relatable to a wider audience, right? If you are writing a story for an audience that is in a particular area, demographically speaking, then you might want to go deeper with your banters and with the kind of comedy you will put into your storyline, right? There are some foreign novels I've read, and there were some things I was reading the story. I knew that this is supposed to be a joke, but I didn't really get the joke, and I just moved on, right? Up until either the point where I finally got the joke or I never got it at all. There are times I will actually sit with the jokes and just try to stretch my intellect, hoping that I will get it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because the truth is that whoever authored that story lived in a kind of system where some kind of conversations went on, and there are some kind of jokes, whatever it is, that he would pull through or he would try to communicate that I may not get because I lived on the other side of the world, right? Or I live on the other side of the world. So that is really another thing. So in summary, if you are trying to still find your way around evoking or communicating the joyful emotion, and you've identified that you want to work on a happy moment, you've identified the attributes of a joyful face, you've identified the attributes of a joyful environment, and you still think that you can add more, then you can go into the conversations going on. What kind of jokes will the characters you are building crack? Right? And this, let me make a quick diversion to character building in a story. When you are telling a story and you want to build a character, there are some things that you would have done in your character building stage that would actually settle all of this. If, for example, you are working on two characters, one of them is a cool-headed person, the other person is a loud fellow, right? And you're trying to throw in some banters. The way a cool-headed person will actually make some jokes, right, will be different from how a loud person will crack some jokes. And I believe that this is applicable in any kind of setting, any kind of environment, any kind of social background that anybody would have. If you're trying to pass the same joke across, there's a way a usually loud person will say it, which will be different from how a cool-headed person who is just trying to throw a jab at someone say it. So all of these things are important for you to take note of, especially if you want to go down that route. So it is a very critical process, it's a very critical point, but don't get too hard on yourself if you are not getting it, and don't try to do too much. I think that is really important for me to talk about. Many times, as new writers or as writers that want to actually get ahead or start growing, we want to do too much, and it ends up ruining the whole it ends up ruining the whole thing. So you want to not do too much, and you want to just be conscious of the fact that you don't mention joy, you don't mention happiness, you don't mention what you are trying to pass across, but you are going to paint the picture of happiness and joy with your words. Thank you so much for joining me again on day 2 of this creative writing challenge. I hope you've started writing, because tomorrow you are going to be submitting what you've written in regards to joy, and then you will get feedback on it. If it's ready, you can send it in already. Once again, if you want to join a community where you can get instant feedback from different people, not just myself, on your writing, and also get to critique the writings of other people, then you can join using the link in the description box below. My name is Adeyemi, and this is Kinaland. God bless you.